Gambia is one of the Africa's smallest countries in West Africa. However, the country has enjoyed long spells of stability, diverse changes of traditions, and lots more since independence. And all of this we will be discussing on the show. My name remains Tony Ghana, and of course, I have Linda Philip with me.
Good afternoon,
Good
Tony.
afternoon. How are you doing?
Fine, thank
I'm
you.
supposed to even add AKA Linda, AKG, AKA Lalas of the Most
Why
High.
are you giving me someone else's name?
So how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank
You
you.
look dashing.
Thank you. You too.
Wow, wow. So how are you doing? Like
Yeah, very
generally,
well.
how is the weather treating you? I'm not supposed to be
Good.
asking because you look good, so it seems the weather is actually favoring
Yeah, of course.
you.
Maybe sometimes you just want to hide maybe some certain situations and pain in order for people not to just see
Are you
us and know
pained?
you're actually going through pain and
You're
all
not
of
pained
that.
now. You don't look it.
Yeah,
Moreover,
that's why I
you're not
said.
supposed to look it anyway.
Good. That's why I said you don't need to show you're going through any stress or anything going through. Maybe you're going through anything in your life, but then sometimes you just have to tell yourself that you're strong, and I
And you
think
can
that's
do
what I'm
it.
doing.
I
So I
love
know
that.
I
I
can
love
do
that
it, and
courage.
then
Who is motivating you a bit?
sometimes you just have to get up and motivate yourself. You don't
Yeah,
need
very
anybody
true,
to
very true.
motivate you.
And yes, and which is one of the reasons why, if the depression is too much for you, the pains are too much for you, you can just choose to travel to Gambia. Yes,
Yeah,
just
I
like
like
you
that
intend
fact.
to.
Like just when you have any situation, when you feel there's nothing you can
Depressed,
do, you
like
feel
everywhere is
depressed, you feel
blocked.
like, yeah, sometimes even when you have the resources, you can be going through a lot. It's not all about having the wealth. It's not all about having the riches. It's not all about having all the things you can afford. But then little things can actually lead you into depression.
Gaskiya.
So that's why. So that's why most times you just need to get away from all these things. You need to just tell yourself that you can do it. Like
course.
I always tell myself, in as much as I know this is happening, I know I can do it. So then when we're talking about the Gambia, like it's actually a small country, but then a lot of activities going on
Small
there
but
is
mighty.
small but mighty.
Of course.
So then if you feel you want to travel out, to start with, they are hospitable people. They are people that you can actually visit at any time and they welcome you. So if you think traveling to Gambia is actually a problem for you, but then here's the good news, it's not actually a problem, because it's something for you to tell yourself that I'm going to do this, and you end up doing it. If you travel to the Gambia, there are a lot of things you can do there. To start with the etiquette, when you talk about greeting each other, more of the respect they give each other, from the older ones to the younger ones.
The one thing about Africa is, if there's anything that they
That
value,
it's
respect.
Respect, true respect.
Like
because
that act of respecting an elderly one is one thing that every Africans, or let me say Africans entirely, uphold with much honesty.
Yes,
and that's one thing as well that Gambians too, like, they take with all seriousness, and they respect greetings in a way that you as the younger one, you can't lead on the greeting. All you need to do is just like, okay, good morning,
first.
and then they will be the one to do the question.
To
Like
do
the
the
elderly one will be
question,
the one
how
to
are
do
you,
actually,
how are your
all of these
parents,
things.
and all of that, and then you just keep on answering. That's just a way of showing the respect that they actually want to accord to one another. And then when you're greeting maybe a man to man, you just give the handshake. Maybe you tap the person at the back, or you give the person a hug, or you just to show that you're exchanging pleasantries. So then, and then when it has to do with women to women, most times you can even hug a woman just to say hi to her. But then men to men, you just have to greet from afar, or you just have to give a handshake.
You can even hug too, as
give a handshake, because most times there are messages you send to people indirectly. So when you're going to show that respect, you should do it wholeheartedly. So when you talk about hospitality, you talk about the people in Gambia. You talk about business, talk about the people in Gambia. Talk about places to visit. Talk about things to do. The people in Gambia will actually tell you this is what you should do. In as much as it's a small country, but they have a lot of things they do there that you're supposed to enjoy doing. Is it a business? Is it maybe going to the office, or is it going to school, or all sorts of things? They have places for you to visit. There are islands where you can just go, like maybe a small place where you can just go sit and just think or do anything you want to do. So then people in Gambia are actually welcoming people. They are people that will give you whatever it is you want. They don't just show favoritism in as much as you are a visitor, and then it will be like, okay, you're just a newcomer, so they won't just treat you well. But no, they'll show you that you should actually come back again. And then when you talk about the things they do, their source of income and all of that, I think agriculture is one of them.
Of course.
And the things that they do and how they transport things and how they share things and how they market things and all of that. Gambia is a place for you to visit. It's more like you tell people that in as much as it's not really expensive, but then it's a place for you to go. It's something you can afford actually. So then when you feel, and then when you talk about safety, Gambia is actually a place for you to visit. Don't be scared of saying, okay, what if something will happen to me? Or so far as you find yourself in Gambia, you're
not safety in totality.
Not safe, of course, because there are places where you will definitely find a lot of things happening, of course. But then if you're careful enough, I'm very sure nothing of such will happen to you.
You're talking about etiquette. There is one thing about etiquette that relates or that gets Africans entwined in, or probably gets them involved. One thing is talking about morals, talking about polite behaviors, talking about societal pleasantries and all of that are one thing that are embedded inside etiquette. And for a foreigner or a stranger who intends to visit a new place, I feel it is best, I feel it is very important that you get to know how these people behave, how they interact with each other, how they socialize, and how they communicate, or their communicative styles among each other, so that you will not go there or probably do one thing or the other that would cause you or cause your being a victim of one circumstance or the other. And which is why I feel we should start by giving some of these etiquettes one by one, so that whichever person that intends going there would have an insight of how things are done there and will not be caught wanting. And we already have mentioned one, which is the greetings. And talking about greetings, you've already mentioned man-to-man greeting, which is obviously handshake or probably hug. And then talking about women-to-women greeting is the same like you hugging or probably just greeting from afar. But then, from an elderly one to a younger one, what you need to do is, as a younger one, is when you are greeting an elderly person, you don't look directly to the person's eyes. You don't look directly to the person's face.
Like respect.
Yes, like I think it's prohibited and it's improper for you to be greeting an elderly one and then you look directly to the person's ears.
It's more like you're being bold, like there's no respect, like you're not even scared of the person.
So when you're greeting, you have your eyes is down or something.
Yeah, of course, that's you showing respect.
That's you showing respect.
And it's actually something that we need to tell ourselves. Like in Africa, if you're going to say hi to an elderly person, you should not just stand and then you need to bend. That's the more reason why you need to look directly to the person's into the person's eyes, because if you're doing that, it means you don't have respect, or maybe they'll start asking whose child is this, or who is your father, who is your mother, or some, just for them to know, okay, really you didn't get the home training that you deserve or that they're supposed to accord to you. And then when you talk about their communication style, when you say you want to ask something, or maybe you want to ask someone for a favor, you don't need to just go directly to the point and just say. Sometimes you just have to describe or explain the situation. Yeah, of course. Like maybe, let's say for instance, now you need money for ailment, or maybe someone is ill, maybe your family, or maybe you want to buy food or something. You just have to start explaining your situation.
To me, I want to personalize this right now because I am used to stuff like that. Like if I want to ask someone for something, I want to ask someone
you
for
patronize
a favor.
the person
It's
first.
not about I'll patronize
of course, you do
first.
that a lot.
Really. So I'll patronize the person first. After patronizing, I will tell the person the reason why, or probably tell the person my state of being as at that time, so that the person will pity me.
I like that part. You do
so
that
the person
a
will
lot.
pity me, and then probably would want to render whatever help that I am
get
actually requesting from him or her. So I feel to some extent it's best, because when you go out plainly or directly,
it shows like you have one sense of entitlement, like that person has to give it to you.
It's somehow
you really need to make the person see you in that state.
Yeah, that state, so that you understand
in order to make the person give it to you. Like there was a situation of something that happened, I think last week Friday or thereabouts. Like I can't remember, but some days back when I saw this comedian and he was in town, and there's this woman, she's a beggar actually, with her daughter, and not really a beggar, but then she was just out there looking for something to eat. Situation these days, a lot of people are going through a lot.
Definitely.
Someone cannot even afford a square meal, not to talk of 2 or 3. Someone cannot even afford something to eat for maybe just a little. Maybe when you see someone eating something, you're actually thinking of how to get it. So this woman saw this comedian, and then she wanted to ask him for food, but then she didn't know how to do. She didn't even know how to go close to him. So then what she did was that she was just walking around where he parked and all of that. He was actually trying to fix some things in town. And then she saw him, and then he saw her, but he didn't really take note of anything. So she didn't know how to tell him or even go close to him. So she started looking for things on the floor beside where he was parked. And then she saw bread that someone threw on the floor under the car and all of that. So she picked it. Now you don't even know who kept that bread one, and then you don't even know if it's still good. You don't even know if maybe somebody just planned something for you. You don't even know anything about that. So she just picked it. She was going to eat it with her daughter. And then when the comedian saw her, and then he just felt touched, and then he was touched, and then he was like, no, like this should not be happening. And then he called her. And then he said she should throw it away. You're not supposed to be eating this. And then she just looked at him and she was scared. And then she was like, she doesn't know what to do because her husband died, and then all the businesses she has been doing, everything crumbled. Like there's nothing happening in her life again. Her daughter is no longer going to school, and daughter is barely 10 years old.
Wow.
So then if you see her, she's really going through a lot. And then her husband's family did a lot of things to her and all of that. So when she started explaining her situation to him, he was touched. And then he had to remove a huge amount of money to give to her. And then he was like, you can help yourself to do this. Even if you just want to buy maybe small thing to do business with it, you can feed your daughter, you can eat. But don't be picking things on the floor.
Ideally, if that particular woman approached that guy,
maybe he wouldn't have done anything. Do you understand?
Yes. The guy might have looked at her like a beggar or something.
Do you understand? Because he wouldn't have helped. Yeah, he wouldn't have understood where she was coming from or the situation she was into. But then with the things she did, he actually sent a message to him. Most times when we want to do things, we don't really think. Like, for instance, if I want to beg you for something, I just walk up to you and be like, give me this thing. No, it doesn't work like that.
You need to know your state of being.
Good.
You need to know
like,
why
not even knowing it, but then there's a way you're supposed to ask for such things in order not to show that you have this sense of entitlement. Like, you have to give it to me. Yes. You just need to go around that person like calmly. You just need to know how to approach that person. Like me, for instance, I know how I ask my dad for things. If I know I want to ask him for something, I just have to patronize him first. Like, I have to just be like, oh, how you're the best dad. If you don't do this for me, who else will do it? Like, I'm your daughter now, and all of that. Then you just see him smiling sheepishly, and then all of a sudden you just realize he's giving you what you ask him for.
Just like when I chat my sister on, and I'm like, my sweet and finest sister in the world.
She knows you want to cheat her.
The next response will be like, what do you want, Tony?
So we all know all these things. So then it's more like something that the people in Gambia do a lot. Like, you can jokingly tell someone, borrow me this thing, or you can jokingly give me this thing, and then that's a joke. But then if you still want something from that person, you need to be serious and go indirectly in order to get that thing from the person. So don't always feel like you have this thing, like it has to be you or this person has to give it to you. No, always go around, even if it's not only in Gambia, but then you should learn to approach people politely and with, don't just show that this person will just give it to you, but then there's a way you ask the person, and even if you ask for little, the person might end up giving you even more than what you asked for.
Of course. And talking about the communicative styles, I think we should boil down to personal space and touching. And I feel one thing that they prohibit publicly is having seen a man and a woman holding hands,
in
or
public.
more of like being seen in a compromised state. Like they prohibit such sort of behavior and all of that. It can only be allowed by, I think, a similar gender, or how do I say, like the same gender, more of like a man to man sort of touching hands, or probably holding hands or shaking hands in the public. But having your wife or probably your girlfriend, then you guys are holding hands, I think is prohibited. And aside from that, even if you are married, ideally or legally, it's extremely rare and difficult for you to see husband and wife together displaying love and all of those things. In fact, you hardly see a man and a woman working together in Gambia. You see it to be something that is out of place. Like, he doesn't say something
Yeah,
good
but
about
then in
their
offices
ethics
they
and
are
all of
allowed
that.
to interact with people.
I think it's
like
based on official reasons
reasons
or
because
purposes. Yeah.
yeah, so then it's more like if you are actually going to Gambia, then you should actually think of all these things. You should be careful of such things, especially if you're going with your spouse. And then all these things that you have to do, you need to be careful, because that's why most times you need to ask questions about, okay, when I go to this place, how do they live, what do they eat, and how do they go about things over there. So in order for you to know that this is what I'm going to do, so then don't just go with a lot of expectations and then you realize you're not supposed to do this. Holding of hands in public, he said, even when you're interacting with people, like men to men, like you're all talking about a lot of things. You can touch each other, you can shake hands, you can
And
do
tap each
anything,
other.
tap each other. But then women to women, the same thing. But then when you talk about the
Opposite
opposite sex, no,
genders.
you don't need to, you can't do that. It is prohibited. So then whatever it is you do, but then in offices actually, you can actually interact with your colleagues and then say anything, like so far as you're in the office space. That's because that's more like it is actually in a place that is hidden, more like just you people, not the public and not the whole
Like,
world
I feel
seeing
it's
you and all of
maybe
that.
more of like a civilized setting, sort
Yes,
of.
yes. So then we need to be careful with a lot of things that we do. And you're talking about eye contact. So when speaking to pairs of the same sex, direct eye contact is acceptable. That's because we're of the same level, we're of the same age, and maybe the same sex and all of that. That shows that you can actually talk to the person. Just maybe when I want to talk to you, I can look you directly in the eye and talk to you. It doesn't have a problem with that. But then when you talk about doing all these things, and then when you say you're speaking to elders on people in authority, you don't need to give them the eye contact. Like you need to avoid them, like
Eye contact,
totally.
true.
Like somebody like me, like truly, I think I do that a lot when
Even
it
me, I
comes
can't
to.
talk to my
I
dad
can't. Do you
looking up to
understand?
him in
Like
his
looking,
face.
no. Like I feel it's
My
disrespectful.
words will not even come out.
Do you know? I swear, maybe when you talk about maybe the person is trying to scold you, maybe you did something wrong, and the person looking at you directly in the eye. No,
That's
like
even
when
rude.
do you
Like, it's
understand? Like when
rude.
they're talking to you, just need to bend your head. Like don't even look at that person directly, because it's more like you're being rude, you're being disrespectful. So then people in Gambia actually have all these etiquettes, and they do a lot of things that we need to learn from them. Even as an individual, there are a lot of things when you realize that these people do it, then you tell yourself, wow, and I've not been doing this, then I need to start doing this because it's the right thing to do. When you talk about respect, you should give people respect. Even the younger ones, you should just give them the respect. It won't take anything from you.
Of course, it
If
won't.
you see someone working and then he's holding a lot of things, I know before that's what we do, but like these days it no longer happens. When you see an elderly person working and then you just pass the person and just say hi to the person and then pass, like you can't even help the person with what he's carrying. Like sometimes like it happens before, like I know before, like you can't see somebody.
No, we are losing it right
We're
now.
losing it already. So then we should actually tell ourselves that we need to bring back all these things
And
now.
if there's anything that makes our culture as Africans unique, it's our morals,
True.
our ethics, and all of those. And since the emergence of Westerners, I think some of these things are already beginning to die down and all of that. But then we should remember our roots. We should remember who we are and where we are from and all of that. And then I think talking about etiquette still, gender roles too is one thing that one should know as regards you being a stranger in a particular place that you are not familiar with. And talking about genders, I believe they see women to be just housewives. And though I think they are still changing, the world is still changing anyway, and I think they are also changing alongside the world. But then up to this moment, I feel feminism is one thing that women they are still fighting for, because they are not really being given that equal right to though education, in terms of education, I think it's given right now. It's given right now, but any other thing, the equality is not really there. But they give more honor to men there. And I think even for farming, you as a wife, you can't even farm unless you have gardens. You have carrots gardens and all of these vegetables garden around your household or something. But for you to own your own farm and all of that, or business, though you can make businesses just like normal market women and all of those things, but anything aside that, unless you have the grace of God.
Yeah, but today now they said women have careers.
That they have careers. That's why they are still struggling.
They're still struggling with it, but at least it's more than before that
yeah, it's true.
you
It's
don't
true.
have the right
It's
to
true.
maybe go to school, or you don't have the right to think this is what I want to do as an educated woman. But now they're giving it priority, like they're making it like something that you should actually do. They're giving women the right to do anything, but then they're still fighting that. So then we just hope that in the nearest future, women will have the right to do what they need to do. They go to school, go to the offices, and not just be housewives and mothers and that's it. But then they should have something to do, because we are all humans. Sometimes I always tell myself that when you think you're the woman, maybe a man that will just subject you to the room, to the house, that's all. Like you're just his wife, you're just the mother of his children. That is all. Like it's not fair. I feel it's not fair. I feel you should be able to work as well, because I think depression, some of these things leads to depression for the women, because okay, you're educated, you need to have this job, or rather you're working before, and then your husband will ask you not to work again, and then he's not actually doing the things a husband should do. Sometimes a woman will want to go out, maybe she should go to work, or maybe her business pays. At least you should have something doing, not just being your wife, wake up and doing the same thing every day. It will actually cost you a lot of things. So then people in Gambia are actually working on that, and I think it's impressive, because when you think about that, they're giving women their priority, they're making them their priority. So then I think it's very important for us to think of women as humans as well. Then they have their own responsibilities to do, and they have a lot of things to do. So let's not just subject them to just one part of the world, and that's all.
And they said even in rural areas, they rarely ride cars, ride bikes, or all of those things. They are only being subjected to being at home, or probably obeying instructions that are being left behind by probably their husbands, or something as such. But then they said unacceptable behavior for women would involve smoking, drinking, and all of those things. Of course.
Of course.
I support that. I support that 100%. I feel it's not even about women, even men too. I don't think it's ideal for you to be a drunkard or for you to be a smoker.
But just imagine, like, for you to say you're a woman and then you drink to a level where you can't even control yourself, and then you end up doing also. Like, I think it's we see it a lot with the men. Like, it's everywhere that when a man is drunk, you see him. But then when you see a woman drunk, like, it's something you should be like, wow, like, what led to this, or why is she like this?
This particular thing had broken a marriage before. Because the husband was complaining that my wife, like, I'm not even stopping her from drinking, but drink inside the house. Don't drink. Don't drink outside the house.
So even if you want to misbehave, you misbehave in the house.
You would gather your friends and step out of the house and then be drinking at the domot of the house, having people to watch you. And people will see me as if I'm not really being responsible. I'm not really saying things, or probably I'm not in control of you completely and all of that. I'm not stopping you to drink, but drink inside the house where nobody will see you. But having it shown to people would probably give them another impression about me. So I think that was one of the things that men wouldn't want people to see them as, like, you not being in control of your wife, or probably the wife overriding you, or probably trying to fight our own space in the house and all of that, trying to equate right and all of those things with you in the house are one of the reasons why I feel to some extent they feel they should prohibit women from drinking. But ideally, I think even drinking generally is not even accepted in the whole of Gambia.
Yeah, of course. Because even when you want to smoke, but not in public.
Not even publicly.
Yeah. As maybe your restaurant,
drinking
maybe your
is
hotel
completely
room.
prohibited.
True.
You hardly see, like, drunk.
So in case you're having plans of traveling, and you know you smoke a lot, then you should actually not travel, because maybe you might not even be allowed, because it's a taboo to them for you to smoke in public and then show the whole world that this is what you're doing. They know it is bad. So then, of course, you yourself, you know it is bad. So why should you smoke in public for people to see you and feel this is what you're doing, which is wrong?
What message are you trying to pass across?
What message are you trying to pass across to people who don't smoke? So it means it's a good thing. So then someone is going to adapt to it and then start smoking as well. We all know that it is dangerous to us. So then why should we do it? So then they said, even if you must do it, then it should be in your closet. You should be somewhere that no one is going to see you, so you don't get to make other people fall into it and then end up doing something that they're not supposed to do.
Of course. I'm talking about their dressing too. They give high prestige to dress too, especially women. You don't dress with your knees showing or your thighs showing and all of that, because they feel for a Gambian woman ties to show, that is, it's more of like you having shown your boobs and all of those things. So they forbid indecent dressing there. You dress in a way that, like in a way that every of your parts is going to be covered and leaving nowhere to be covered. And I feel to some extent it's decent enough.
Not to some extent, it's decency, like completely, because for you to dress and then show your whole body out, like what message are you trying to pass across? Why wouldn't you dress rightly?
You know, some of the reasons why some people dress indecently is one, they feel maybe the weather is hot and they need to.
Then you shouldn't go out. You should stay in your house. And then if you're going out, maybe, okay, fine, in the public, you should dress properly. Okay. Then when you go to your destination, you can mostly you can wear a jacket or something to cover up. And then when you go to where you're going to, you can take it off and just sit and then receive your fresh air.
The thing is just that, well, everybody has their own way of, giving definition to things and all of that. To me, I feel indecent is when you have the intention of seducing one, or maybe
even when you don't have the intention. But then I'm seeing it and I have the
customs and traditions. The way you view your own customs and traditions
is different from the way you view yours.
If it were to be in a Western country,
true,
they wouldn't see it as anything. But coming to some of these African countries, of course, you'll see it as if you are trying to, seduce their men, or you probably have some bad intention towards their men and all of that. But probably in your own mind, you're just dressing for the fun of the fact, for the fact that you just want to, have some fresh hair and all of that, and for the fact that you want to go and get something, it doesn't mean you have to have yourself covered all and all of that. So I feel, to some extent,
I understand what you're trying to say, because maybe when you talk about, okay, deep inside of me, I'm wearing this because I am comfortable with it, because I'm hot, and then I just want to receive the fresh air. That is my own intention. Like, I didn't even think of saying, oh, when someone sees me, he will feel like coming close to me or anything. Now, if another person is passing and he sees you dressed like that, he won't even think it's because you're hot. He won't think you don't have any bad intention. Then the only thing that will come to his mind is, I need to have this girl, or I need to do this, I need to do that. So then what you have in your mind is different from what the other person has in his own mind. So then sometimes we just need to tell ourselves that sometimes you just have to be uncomfortable to pass that level, in order not to lead someone into sin, into doing something that he did not wish to do. But then with what you have done, or the way you dressed, actually make the person to fall into your trap. So then when you talk about dressing for the ladies, there in Gambia is actually something that they hold in high esteem. And then for the men, they always wear their suits and tie, and then wear their kaftans, and all of that, because you hardly see a man wearing something, like you hardly see a man wearing something that's going to expose his body, because do you understand it? So then you see them wearing all their babariga, wear all the stuffs that they can wear to wherever it is they're going to. Maybe they're going for a wedding, or they're going for maybe a naming ceremony, or they're going for just any occasion. They look very smart. So then the women also do that as well. So then why wouldn't we adopt that and not try to lead someone into falling or doing something that he's not supposed to do?
And then talking about socializing, they also socialize. We shouldn't say
of
because
course
of the fact that they have like plenty of these rules and regulations and all. They still have their own way of socializing and all of that. And one of those way of them socializing is, don't be drunk in public. You can be drunk. You can be drunk, of course,
but
then
not in public
make sure
places.
It's not in the
so you don't end up spoiling things, or you don't end up insulting people or fighting
that's
people.
True. And then he said drinking is acceptable for students within the Christian community. I think there are two religions there, or probably more than, but for the fact that you have the opposite or the other religion, probably for them not to be offended by whatever behavior you put on, you try as much as possible to abide by whatever rule they have there. But if you can, by the time you switch to the other side, you can do whatever thing you want to do and then be at peace with every other person. But for the fact that you are there and they are prohibiting you to not to do some certain things, you just abide them. Abide by those rules, so as not to get yourself into trouble or something.
About socializing, when you talk about two people dating, like they don't go out on dates. Like
it's funny.
It's funny, like you're dating someone and then you can't go out with the person in public or holding hands and all of that. They said most times if you want to go out on dates with someone, you go
house.
And then you cannot even go alone.
You have to go
you have to go with someone. Let's say for instance, I'm going to my boyfriend's house now. I have to go with Ruth. Maybe Ruth, I have to go with her. Because you're not supposed to go. They said even in the urban and rural areas, you can't just go alone, and then you can't hang out in public places. So then it's mostly like it's funny because
and I think that's one of the reasons why the year to which girls get married there is quite early.
True.
Because I feel maybe for the fact that there are a lot of these restrictions for dating and courtship, maybe for them to avoid some of these things, you just have to marry on time. Because you see ladies of 15, 20s and all of those getting married and all of that. So I feel it's one of the reasons why they allow early marriages there. But for the fact that you can't go, or probably you and your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend can't have your own date, or probably going out to drink or to eat, or like on this more of like a romantic date and all of that. It's just, for me, it's just off.
It's off because like you can't even go out, like you just need to do it indoors.
How would I be going to see my girlfriend or my boyfriend with a friend of mine together? Because I feel there are some personal things that we would want to discuss.
And then you have phones, you text each other, and then you send poems and all of that. So that's a more way to express themselves. And then when you're dating someone, they said you can do that maybe within 2-3 weeks. Wow. Then you're communicating with the person. Yes. So then you get to understand each other. And then mostly it's not by going to see the person, but then by chats, text messages and love poems and all of that, and then sending flowers, like you're just showing you love this person. Yes. And then when you realize that okay, you're vibing with this person, you're connecting with this person,
also romantic,
then you of course when you talk about sending all these things, like that's what they use to communicate and show the love they have for the other person, and then that's what that is what leads to them marrying the other person. So then it means but why do we have this mentality that you need to date this person for years before you understand, okay, this person is really, do you really know somebody for, even if you're going to spend 15 years with somebody, you will still know the person.
The thing is, we sometimes spend more time in courtship. Let's not dwell on that anyway.
But that's what they do, because they don't even spend a lot of like times like that, because they want to know within 2-3 weeks you already know this person is what I want.
The ideal thing for me is if you are not ready to get married,
don't even go into any relationship. True, I agree with that. Don't end up wasting your time. Somebody be like, once you know like you are ready, then you find the person.
In the next 1 year or 2 years, I see no reason why you should be in a relationship. Then let's talk about the don'ts in Gambia, and one of them is don't expose large amount of money on a holiday, because it's not going to be safe for you. Of course,
you attract people
you can attract those that want to rob you and all of that. Just go with a small amount of money, or probably I believe there are ATM machines there. You can just go with your ATM cards, withdraw whatever amount you want to withdraw and use, and then do whatever thing you want to do. And they said hold food with your left hand. I think this one is ideal.
It's a common thing.
It's a common thing even here or many other places like that. So it's not really new. And you shouldn't smell food with your nose before eating, because to me it's very disgusting. But then I think before we talk about the tourist attraction, we should consider going on a break so that we can talk about the food, talk about the tourist attractions, and any other thing that would encourage you. Encourage you to go to Gambia. So please, let's take a quick break and stay glued to the screen. Thank you. Welcome back on the show. It is still Midday show, and yes, of course, I have Linda Philip.
Why are you giving me another?
I'm just so
like
used
you love
to
calling me that name.
Yes.
Please.
So I still have Linda.
Yes, of
Philip
course, as
on
always.
The show with me. And yes, we are yet to talk about some other interesting things like tourist attractions, where to go when you go to Gambia, the food that they prepare there, their delicacies, their traditional foods and all of those things, and probably the reasons why you are supposed to go to Gambia. And I think one of the tourist attractions we have there is the Abuko Nature Reserve. I think this is one of the best and the first park that they have there in the country, and it has been in existence since about like this 20th century. And you know, when you talk about parks, you talk about the exposures of animals like antelopes, like birds, talk about like monkeys and so many other wildlife parks that you probably would want to see and, have a sense of how they adapt to nature, how they are being taken care of, how they feed, how they respond to nature and all of those things. So it's not something that you wait until you are being told by the person that visits there, but then it's something that you yourself should go and see for yourself, and then you come back and tell stories. Okay, yeah, I've seen a lion before, I've seen an elephant before. This is how they react to human beings. This is how they do and all of that. Not until when someone comes and tell you about them. Have you seen a lion before?
Of course.
Okay, I know I'm asking a stupid question right now.
Are you for real? Like just asking me that question?
Yeah.
Wow.
It can be true. It can be true that you've never seen an elephant before.
Nice one.
I'm just saying it can be very true.
Sir.
Okay.
I have.
So have you seen a lion before?
Yes,
too?
sir, I have.
Okay. But you've not been to Abuko Nature Reserve?
No, I've not.
Which is where you're supposed to go to.
Of course, so I get to see some of the things that even if I've seen them, but then I can still have an experience.
Please, when you are going to Gambia, just in case, because I'm not going, there's this Afra food that I've read so much about. With food. So please get that thing, get it for me. That's the only thing I want to see.
So I'm the only one that will be going to Gambia.
I feel it's going to be fun for you now.
So why won't it be fun for you?
Me, I just feel I don't like African.
Wow, I like this part.
Joke anyway. That's a joke.
Okay, yes, we have another tourist attraction. We have the Banjul. Banjul is actually the capital of Gambia, and then it is a port city and is located on the St. Mary's Island. And then it's actually a place that a lot of people don't really go there, but then when you find someone going there, maybe their businesses, you see hawkers on the streets, you see people doing all sorts of things. They say people don't actually give it a second glance, but with the busy harbor, they said it has a rich history, colonial architecture, and urban market. There's plenty to love about the city. And then said you should enjoy the street hawkers from Senegal and Guinea and the shopkeepers packed into old colonial trading housing, all creating a chaotic vibrancy to the commercial district. But then when you look out for traditional things over there, you see people making houses made of bamboo and traditionally owned by the poor farmers of the island. So then it's really owned by them, because the things that they do there is not really a place for you to go. Maybe it's not really an attraction, maybe like for you to just go there, but then it's a place for you to go and do business and buy things, and because you see a lot of people hawking different kind of things, and then you just need to get it. And then all the houses they have there is more like a local place, like a place that you can just, maybe let's say it's not really in the open for you, but then it is a place for you to just go to buy and sell and all of that.
And
so then
you're forgetting the fact that this Banjul is actually the capital of Gambia.
Of Gambia, actually.
Yes.
No, how will I forget
Okay,
it?
I'm just trying to
Of course, I
you.
said this from the beginning that
Okay,
Banjul is the capital of Gambia.
I didn't catch it. Then the second thing is on the Albert Market. And I think this is one of the activities that you probably wouldn't want to miss by the time you visit Banjul, because it's actually located in Banjul, the state the capital city of Gambia, and it has been in existence since the 19th century. So when you talk about something that has been in existence as far as that date, you should know that there are a lot of things that you are likely to get there, a lot of things you're likely to see there, and all of that. And the reason why it is actually named Prince Albert Market is because of the fact that it was named after Queen Victoria's husband. And it was a state, or it was a country that was colonized by Britons. And one thing or the other, some of these African countries want to have something that will keep in memory to some of those people, to say some of our colonial masters, to tell histories, or to remind ourselves what we went through, or some of the experiences that we had during their own time. So I feel this is one of the reasons why you should visit that market, and you are going to be exposed to see a lot of things like,
of course,
shoes, wood mask, housewares, gadgets, like fantastic fabrics and
fruits,
a lot
vegetables,
of things.
Beauty supplies,
like it's market,
and all
so you should go there.
So then, whatever it is you're looking for, they said this Albert Market is
and
the
country is not even an
go.
expensive country.
It's not. So then, whatever it is you want, you can afford
even
it.
If you have 50,000, you can go there.
I like your advice.
Then we have the
Old Town.
The Old Town.
That is towards a wide and welcoming Makumba Jalo Street, just west of the ferry terminal in Banjul. It's still in the capital of Gambia, this old town, and then it is a place where is assortment of fading colonial buildings and traditional Creole style clapboard homes. It is old time, which looks remarkably like Freetown in Sierra Leone because of the many Freetown families who settled here in the early 19th century. And then whatever it is they do, they have a lot of history that people will admire and walk through with wonderful sections in the city. So then it's actually an old town in which you can see all the things. History has it that whatever it is you've heard about before about Gambia, when you go to the old town, you will get it, you will see it, because we've actually kept it safe there for you to go, and then you see old buildings and you see all sorts of things. So then when you find yourself in Gambia and you feel you want to just have a look, or maybe you just want to know, okay, you've heard about this thing, you want to see it for yourself, you can go to the old town and see it for yourself and have an experience of it.
Especially for a lover of history like me.
Yeah, actually. Then that's why you don't want to go to Gambia.
No, I can because of this old town.
Wow, okay.
Go and see how this old town looks
Oh,
like.
nice.
Then we have the Bijilo Forest Park, which is also called the Monkey Park.
Monkey Park.
This is actually a forest that is filled up with a lot of monkeys, like the one I have in my village. We have a forest.
Are you serious? Wow. Okay.
But I'm serious. We have a forest in my village that's
filled of monkeys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like we have so many of them that, if not for the fact that civilization have come into existence, during the old time you can have monkeys coming to the house and to play with people and all of that.
Are you serious?
It was that much, yeah. So I think I would want to have this kind of experience again.
Yeah, of course.
Though I was told,
yeah,
not as if I saw it, but I was
course,
told.
Because
So what are you insinuating?
We all know.
So there are about like 100 species of them there. And you know, when you have species of things, difference of creature, how things are being done or probably being created differently, you would want to see, and you would want to take pictures of them. But then one thing that is prohibited there is for you not to give them anything to eat. Okay. You can only play with them. You can only, like just play with them anyway, but don't give them anything to eat. Maybe you don't trust the foreigners.
Of course, because like someone can just go with any bad intention and they end up poisoning any of the monkeys and all of that, because they value everything that has to do with monkeys or any animal there. So then you can't just wake up one morning and then end up saying you want to kill this thing, because no, you shouldn't do that. We should always love our animals, because okay, when you talk about loving animals, not every of them actually.
Don't go and love lion.
Or snake that will end up.
There's some people that love snakes.
Of course,
like
I've seen
some
it.
people keep them as pets.
But really,
I
think I know of someone that does that. I think even here, I know of someone that keeps snakes in his house, and then he feels like he's just rearing them. And I'm always scared. Do you understand? Like, for the love of it, just for the love of it. Like, I'm just trying to imagine. Oh no. And then we have the Brufut Beach. Said it's sitting between the Combo South District and the Atlantic Ocean at the Brufut Resort and Village. It's actually a resort and it's a beach for you to go and have an experience. Said it itself has terrific golden sand and lots of privacy. They said to reach the beach, you have to climb down the cliffs using paths that are quite steep in places. Once you've arrived and staked your spot, you will notice fishermen and women sparing fish, repairing nets, and waiting for a change in tide to take them back out on the water again, because it's so uncrowded. It's great for everything: sunbathing, water sports, walks around the sand, and cycling. Yeah, of course, when you talk about this thing, like
I get when you are like on the bank of a river.
Yes.
Like, the feeling is just
sound alone, like with the water
like so many activities that are going on. You see fishermen doing their own thing. You see
everybody
those
just
that want to cross
business,
to the other side of the river doing their own crossing. Those that want to wash, those that are there for some activities like picnic, probably to even have themselves filled up with eating of fishes and all of those things. Like that kind of sighting is just something to be
fun, like, because when you find yourself working, like there's this peace that comes with it.
With this cool breeze that comes alongside with it.
It's exciting because it's something that when you see, of course, with the trees and then the weather itself and all the, like once you just find yourself in such a place, like you just want to, it's more like you don't have any problem in this life again, because the peace that comes with it. But then when you realize that you're actually scared of going close to the beach and all of that, a lot of people go there and say it's uncrowded. So then you can go there at any time and still have your phone and leave and still mind your business and do anything you want to do and then still leave. Because once you think you're you're going to a certain place and then you have issues, or you're thinking of a lot of things. But then when you find yourself in such a place, you just need to let go of a lot of things.
Like whatever worries you are going through, pains and all of those things too. And we have the Wasu stone cycles. I said this is located in the Central River region. These cycles are believed to be burial sites of ancient kings and chiefs dated back to this 750 and to 1000 AD. Wow, this is so a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of the places that one should visit. And for the fact that these stones are layouts that vary from 4 to 6 meter diameter with anywhere from 10 to 20 stone each. Like these stones are actually like 6 feet tall, and they are more of like in cycle. You know, when you see something like this, you will be wondering how it came into being.
Actually.
And I think some of the locals believe that if you want to really be so curious about the existence of that domain of those stones, probably you are inviting a curse on yourself. So it's just best you see them, admire them, but then don't be too curious to know the existence
why
of
it's
those.
like, yeah, actually.
So some of these things can be fallacies, can be
true.
But then you just have to have to hold on to, or probably head on to
the
whatever
little
thing
you
they tell
know,
you.
yes.
No, whatever thing they even tell you as a rule, they just
So
abide
don't
by
end up
it,
asking too much questions, so you don't end up putting yourself in trouble. Yeah, actually, there are a lot of facts about the Gambia that we all know, in which the beginning we said it's the smallest country in the mainland Africa, making it the smallest that we know about. But then the things they do there is actually something that we are all aware of, and we are amazed about the things they do, in as much as it's a small country, but then they do a lot of things. It's a long strip of land that follows the course of the river Gambia and is situated on Africa's west coast. They said it's bordered on either side by Senegal. It's incredibly narrow, measuring less than 30 miles wide at its widest. Although small, the country is densely populated, approximately a little above 2 million people. Just 2 million people. And then they have all these activities they do, and but it's interesting
That's
to
why
know.
I said they are small but mighty.
Of course. So it's interesting to know that it's actually the smallest, but then they have a lot of activities going on there.
It's true. And then for the fact that during elections, Gambians vote using marbles, like wow, isn't that local?
Actually,
But then I think it's just their way of thing, and since they are comfortable with it, then I think it's best for them. I see, like from what I've read, it's more of like it's a private booth. Votes are presented with holes in the ground marked with each candidate. They can simply drop their marble into the hole they choose. So I think it's a very simple way of voting. True. Without no stress of printing papers like the way we do in my country.
I don't know your country.
Where you spend a lot of money in preparation for votes and all of that. So I think it's a very good thing. But then this is the important part of the show,
which is
because there is nothing like food in this entire world. You can be so angered about a lot of things. You can be so destabilized about a lot of things. But my dear, by the time you see a very inviting and a very inviting and salivating food, my dear sister and brother, you will forget about your sorrow.
When you ask me food, I like the way you talk about
like
food.
You will forget about your sorrow, especially when you devoured everything.
True though.
Like so one of those is Afra food, of which has to do with a lot of onions and meat. And when you talk about meat, when
the encouragement in the food,
like the
vibe, goal in the food,
vibe you get, it's more of like you eating a bowl of food and then there is no meat. You'll be clueless. Like you have, like there is nothing to anticipate for that. At the end of the food, there's this trophy.
It's more like this trophy that you're going to give, like this crown.
So I think that's one essential thing as regards food. So I think it's one thing to eat.
Yeah, of course it looks. Yeah, of course. Maybe it has to do with meat. I will eat it.
Okay.
And we have akara. It's a delicious local dish served for breakfast, sometimes in tapalapa bread. It's made from black-eyed peas, grounded into flour and deep fried. He said someone first tried it and then he enjoyed it actually with a lot of onions and a lot of chili pepper and all of that. And then whatever it is you're doing, breakfast there, akara is their favorite. But they said others, they include...
Just don't finish it, please. Because the way you are saying this thing, I'm, like the more I'm craving
you
for this
akara already, right?
Like it's making me feel like I should just go back home and prepare akara.
Wow.
fried akara, honestly.
Okay.
With stew and all of these things.
Yeah.
So please stop saying about
Okay, fine. I
stop
rest
talking
my
about
case.
akara.
It's more like you love akara, right?
No, but no, the way you are just saying the
Yeah,
whole
of course,
thing,
the way
how
they
it's being
do it.
prepared and all of the things they use in eating is just like is intensifying my cravings right
And
now.
mostly they use it for breakfast.
Yeah, normally that's how it is now.
No, but there are some people that will still use it as dinner. Like me, I can eat akara for dinner. I don't have a
I
problem
think
with that.
it depends on your choice.
On what you want feel like eating.
And we have the boambab juice. I think this juice or the fruit that is on this tree is more of like whitish in nature. But I know this fruit anyway. I know this tree. It's a very big and mighty tree like this. That I think they usually get coca from it.
Okay, I don't know it.
I'm telling you because you don't know history.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's why I said I don't know. So you're telling me now. Okay, fine. Thank you for educating me.
Yes,
Wow, nice one.
So this is one of the common things you see there, like the juice, which is made out from this boambab tree or fruit, which is I think to some extent is going to be sweet. I've never tasted, but
Now when you go to Gambia, you taste it.
I can do it here. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
We have the tree here. We have
Are
the
you
trees.
serious?
You have the trees here now.
So let's try it now. What are we waiting for?
Okay, but you have to pay.
No problem. When we get to the bridge,
free.
we'll cross it.
Okay.
We have the benachin, and then they said the benachin means 1 pot. So then whatever it is you're cooking in it, said you can use chicken or meat, but then it said preferably you can use fish. That is what they commonly use in preparing it. And then it said they've made the idacham, which runs cooking classes. That if you want to learn for the class, it's headed in the beach, not for a swim, but for the fish market. Then you can get the fish to prepare the benachin. Then it said with other ingredients, tomatoes, carrots, spring onions, sweet potatoes, onions, and cassava, bitter tomatoes, and the rest of it, just to prepare this particular. He said everything is done in 1 pot. Wow. So then whatever it is you're doing, just know that this is going to be delicious, I think, because in as much as I've not tasted it, but then I think I should anticipate this.
Yeah, anticipate because you're going to Gambia.
Of course I will, I am.
And then the two last food we have okra stew and palm wine, of which to some extent they actually come on here. And to the fact that we don't know how theirs is being prepared, one should really anticipate to tasting how theirs looks like and all of that. And for the fact that we are already against time, and time is not really by our side.
Time is our friend.
After everything said and done, I want you to tap from my anointing and close the show.
Why do you have any anointing?
Yes,
Wow.
I am an anointed one now, so please tap from my anointing and close the show.
Please, I tap from Christ. Anyways, it was nice actually doing this with you, talking about the Gambia and the people in the Gambia and all the things they do there. And so I think a lot of people are anticipating going to Gambia. I hope so. And in case you want more or you want to know more about the Gambia, you should actually do your research and be able to know things to do and things not to do, what to eat and what not to eat in the Gambia. It's actually the Midday Show Live. Thank you for watching the Midday Show Live with us today. I hope you had fun. Have a blessed day.